Imagine navigating a global firestorm when the world's primary oil artery is clamped shut, your bank account buys less than a bag of groceries, and the power grid is already hosting digital parasites from Moscow, while the evening news anchor delivers the chaos with a rehearsed uncanny grin. You've tuned into Victor's logic. At a time when the wait-and-see approach has officially expired, forget the sanitized versions of the future you'll find on a search engine. The truth isn't hidden because it's a state secret, it's ignored because it's a logistical nightmare people keep debating when the Third World War starts, but they're looking for a ribbon-cutting ceremony that already happened in silence. As of February 2026, the friction is no longer theoretical. You are likely holding a device powered by a grid relying on fuel, passing through a narrow stretch of water currently flanked by 3 nuclear powers. Iran's recent smart control naval maneuvers weren't just a parade, they were a dress rehearsal for suffocating the global economy by sealing the Strait of Hormuz. We're talking about 20% of the planet's energy lifeline vanishing over a weekend, with the USS Harry S. Truman carrier group positioned in the Gulf. Alongside shadowing Chinese and Russian vessels, the board is set. Even the political sphere is signaling the shift with high-level mentions of Operation Midnight Hammer, indicating that the gears of a massive kinetic response are already grinding. Most creators would leave you here trembling at a thumbnail, but on Victor's logic, we don't trade in unrefined anxiety. The vital question isn't whether the spark will ignite, but how you navigate the smoke during the first 3 days of the flashover. Let's map out the reality of the 72-hour collapse. Day 1 is the economic cardiac arrest. Once the Strait of Hormuz is closed, the Persian Gulf becomes a dead zone for tankers. Oil prices won't just rise, they will verticalize, jumping 40% in a single afternoon. You'll watch the digital signs at your local gas station tick upward multiple times before lunch. By sunset, the stock market will reflect the collective terror of the world, vaporizing retirement portfolios in hours. Day 2 moves the war into your living room via the shadows. This isn't a minor internet glitch, it's the lights going out. Intelligence agencies like CISA have warned for years that groups like Vault Typhoon and Sandworm, proxies for Beijing and Moscow, have been nesting inside our utilities. They aren't breaking in, they are already there, waiting for the signal to flip the switch. By day 3, the physical world begins to stutter. Europe implements strict fuel quotas while North Americans strip grocery shelves bare. This isn't a food shortage yet, it's a psychological one. A month's worth of inventory disappears because everyone panicked on the same Tuesday. Meanwhile, the digital landscape becomes a hall of mirrors. The web doesn't die, it just decays. Connections fail, apps hang, and verified information becomes the rarest commodity on Earth. This is the new front line, not iron and lead, but the control of the electromagnetic spectrum. The Iranian strategy, rooted in decades of asymmetrical theory, isn't to trade broadsides with a US destroyer, it's to drown sophisticated tech in a sea of cheap AI, orchestrated drone swarms, and shore-based missiles. It only takes one small boat to cripple a billion-dollar asset, and now they have hundreds acting in unison. The math is brutal. Every exchange in that theater risks triggering NATO's Article 5, dragging 31 nations into a legal obligation for war, while the West overextends. Russia and China sit back as the ultimate beneficiaries, waiting for the exhaustion to set in. So when the notifications stop and the static starts, what is the move? You move from passive consumption to active resilience. I'm not talking about gold coins and underground bunkers. I'm talking about basic historical competence. Your primary hurdle is the loss of data. You need a hand-cranked shortwave radio. When the fiber optic cables are cut and the cell towers are jammed, the airwaves remain. For $20, you get access to the only truth left by it now, because the moment the grid stumbles, they will be impossible to find. Next is the liquid reality of survival. Most city water relies on electrical pumps. When the pressure dies, you have a very short window of residual flow. Fill every tub and container immediately. One bathtub holds enough for one person to survive for 5 months if handled correctly. It's simple arithmetic that saves lives. Finally, get your hands on physical currency. Card readers and ATMs are the first victims of a power failure. Having 2 weeks of small bills isn't about the hund of the dollar, it's about being able to buy a loaf of bread when the digital handshake fails. If we look at the grand strategy, Iran is merely the ignition point. China's entire industrial engine runs on the oil coming through that strait, closing it for a Fortnite chokes their economy at its most vulnerable moment. Many analysts suspect this pressure is a deliberate dual-purpose strangulation, targeting Iranian nuclear ambitions while simultaneously starving Chinese industry without a single shot being fired at Shanghai. Russia knows this, which is why they are shifting weight toward the Caucasus. If their Iranian partner collapses, Russia loses its southern shield. Add a nuclear-armed fractured Pakistan into the mix and the variables become exponential. Your roadmap for the next 6 months at Victor's Logic is built on 3 pillars. First, information independence. Own the tools to hear the news when the internet is dead. Second, a physical buffer. You don't need a fortress, just 2 weeks of the essentials to bridge the gap of initial chaos. Third, human infrastructure. History shows us that in Katrina or Fukushima, the lone wolf is the first to fail. Survival is a team sport. The people who know their neighbors and possess tradable skills are the ones who make it to the other side of the 72-hour window. The mobilization has begun. The major powers are placing their bets. You are already ahead of the curve because you are paying attention. When the screens go dark and the sirens start, the person with the water, the radio, and the plan is the only one truly in control. Keep your eyes open, keep your head clear, and transition from scrolling to acting while the window is still open.